The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Now in studio with us, we have Dr. Mary Evans, Honors History Research Professor and also coordinator of MTSU's American Democracy Project. Also, we have ADP President and Political Science Major Dante Buttry. How are both of y'all doing this morning?
We're pleased to be here. Happy Monday to you.
Start out by talking a little bit about this American Democracy Project.
We are a nonpartisan student organization on MTSU's campus, and our entire goal is to just get as many students registered to vote on campus as possible. We're big on civic engagement, which is what Constitution Week is all about. We are essentially just outside nearly every day with a table and voter registration forms just to get folks registered and tell them where they can vote, how they can vote, and why it's important to do so.
And Dante, you're a political science major, so what is it that you want to do when you graduate?
I would love to get into legislative technical writing and just political organizing in general.
Dr. Evans, talk a little bit about what you see day in and day out and that interaction with students and the different projects going on.
Well, American Democracy Project does so much, and obviously during an election year, every 2 years, and especially every 4 years, the excitement and engagement on the part of students heightens. We wish that were every year, and certainly interim election years, we would like the numbers to be higher in terms of student voter participation. But we are right now in the fall of 2024, and we're wanting to be sure that every MTSU student is registered to vote where he or she can get to the polls this fall, so that our university can demonstrate what a leader MTSU is in terms of student engagement. And although voting engagement is merely one variable in that larger concept, it's a very important one, and 2024 heightens that. So everybody from MTSU, please get registered. We only have a couple of more weeks now. Registration ends October 7th. And determine what your voting plan is, where you want to go to the polls, and get registered in that county so that you can get there either during early voting or on Election Day.
In MTSU, they will hold special Constitution Day events starting today and tomorrow, and a special keynote speaker will be there. Talk a little bit more about that.
We are hosting, MTSU is hosting this year, the 48th Vice President of the United States, the Honorable Mike Pence. And whereas we have had a couple of vice presidents here on this campus in the past, this particular former vice president of the U.S. is perhaps more recently in that role. And obviously he himself had been a candidate for the presidency not too many months ago. But when he dropped out of that presidential race, the opportunity came our way that he might come and have a dialogue with us on the MTSU campus this fall. And we thought how fitting that would be. So he's invited to come here, and he has agreed to show, and we look forward to welcoming him tomorrow. And we hope anybody who hears us on the radio will come and join us, because the event will be at MTSU's Tucker Theater. It starts at 3:00 p.m. on Tuesday, the 17th of September. But we imagine that it's going to be quite jam-packed. It's free and open to the public, but because there will be security checks going in, we need you please to be there probably by 2:00. And don't bring pocketbooks, don't bring backpacks. Students need to bring their student IDs to scan in. And we have free public parking in the Reese Smith baseball parking lot, which is right adjacent to Tucker Theater. And that's tomorrow at 3:00. Please come early and get a seat.
I know MTSU recently received an honor, and that was the 2024 highly established rating from the All-In American Democracy Challenge. What was that?
Well, in order to expand engagement across our campus, certainly voting engagement, but actually engagement of every variety, we are continually developing at the university strategic plans and mission statements and vision statements, and we try within American Democracy Project to share aspects of those that reflect what our students' activism and engagement is in any particular academic year. So we keep building on prior plans. We say this year we're going to be sure that we expand engagement to all of the sports teams, or that we cover all the students in the dormitories, or that our disability student action group is able to safely get to the polls. That our commuting students get registered where they can vote, and that our students who are fully online are registered back at home. We want to touch every base, every quarter, every quadrant of the campus and of our circa 20,000 people student body, so that our action plan reflects what we as a group and as a university are trying to see accomplished this academic year.
As first-time students attend MTSU, it's an interesting time in their life. I mean, a lot of them just turned 18. They're just now able to vote. So how do you go about educating these students on the importance of voting and what goes into a vote?
So we just like to get out there and talk to people and get in their face a little bit. And it can be uncomfortable at first. I know when I was a freshman here, I tried to avoid ADP because people come up to you and they say, hey, are you registered to vote? Would you like to be registered to vote? Or do you know where you're going to vote? And we just want to start that dialogue. And once that conversation is started, 9 times out of 10, it becomes wonderful and productive, and people feel more seen and heard in the democratic process than they had been before. And with civic engagement being so low, Tennessee has such a low voter turnout, especially for young folks. It's really important to have those dialogues and to start that kind of civic thought process in folks' like just everyday life, and for them to know that they are a part of that process, even when they feel not seen by it.
And what's some of the feedback that you've gotten from students when you first talk to them about voting?
A lot of times they ask why should we vote? Why is it important? And the answer is because that's your... It's not even like a civic duty thing. It's more of this is your way to be seen and be heard and be a part of the process. And so once you start telling people, like, voting is more than the presidential election, it's the local election, it's your school boards, it's your state representatives, all of that affects your day-to-day life more than you would ever think it would. And once you start to open that door to that process, you see that you're a lot more represented than you think you might be. And it also brings people together. I think that just the process of, taking your friends to the polls and having those conversations, it opens up dialogue that you wouldn't have had before, and it creates deeper bonds with each other, even when opinions are different. Just the fact that you're having that conversation and having those dialogues and opening that kind of aspect into civic engagement, I think is really a powerful social tool.
And Dr. Evans, going back to you, over the years, have you seen a progression of students' interest in the political system and in voting, or has there been a change at all?
There's definitely been a change, and it is actually quantifiable at MTSU. Dr. McPhee and our university provosts signed MTSU up several years ago for a national study called the National Study of Learning, Voting, and Engagement. It's an intriguing metadata study that is able to really look at student voting across the entire United States. It combines Secretary of State's data with university enrollment data, and it's quite a powerful tool. And until we joined the NSOLV study, we could only guesstimate how many of our students were engaged in the civic process. But since our participation in NSOLV, which has been about a decade now, we were able to see how poorly our university started at the beginning, and then owning that poor turnout and owning how pathetically, really, at the time, it was in terms of voting on our campus, we could use that as a baseline, and we could work on that, and we could really say, hey, we need to reflect better on ourselves as students, as citizens, as members of the state of Tennessee, and as proud Americans. And I think knowledge is power, and with the tool of NSOLV, we're able to watch MTSU student civic engagement and student voting grow and grow and grow every year. And we hope that same upward trajectory will continue into this fall's election.
I know we're almost out of time, but was there a specific event or perhaps a political race that got students much more involved, and then from that point on, that's when it really started to grow?
Well, I don't know, honestly, that I would hinge it, given the fact that we didn't sign up for the NSOLV study until I think it was 2015 at MTSU. So we first were able then to go back and look at 2014 election numbers, national numbers, and then we could look at the 2016 presidential race. We were able to see the 2018 interim election numbers, and then 2020 and 2022. So I'm not sure that there was one event that I would pin it on. I would just say that we have continued to get better.
Again, with us this morning, Dr. Mary Evans, Honors History Research Professor and Coordinator of MTSU's American Democracy Project, which is a student organization, right?
The student organization is one part of it. The academic organization under the Office of the University Provost, which promotes civic engagement across the curriculum and throughout the university, is the other part of it.
That's a lot to undertake. Also with us today, ADP President and Political Science Major Dante Buttry at MTSU. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Stay with us. We do have more news and information coming your way next.
This is Peter Demas, and our family is inviting your family to come eat with us at Demas's restaurant. We started doing a limited time only menu, so once a month we add new menu items to it for 1 month only. We're bringing back an old item that we used to have that we don't have anymore. So for example, we brought back clam sauce spaghetti this month. Last month we had Greek spaghetti. And again, that'll change. Now that you've heard about the changes that we're making at Demas's, you need to check it out, so come on over right now. Demas's Restaurant on Northwest Broad Street.